A viewer writes, I've stumbled across and am enjoying your YouTube channel in which you cook up recipes from the Vincent Price Treasury of American Recipes. It's not actually American recipes, it's Treasury of Great Recipes. I know some people think great and American is just the same thing, but... I'm a Vinny aficionado myself. I notice your photo replicates his headshot from the bat, and have this book. I've attempted only a couple of the recipes myself, so I appreciate what you're doing. I think it would help if you realised you've misjudged the American measure of a tablespoon, which is smaller than the imperial tablespoon. About 0.80 imperial or a bit more than 0.5 fluid ounces would be close. Your tablespoon looks more like what we'd consider a large serving spoon. No wonder you struggled with flour and roux sauces and gravy. This explains a lot. You're watching A Recipe for Nightmares, exploring the Vincent Price cookbook with your host, John McNee. This is the show where I, horror author John McNee, attempt to cook some of the meals from horror icon Vincent Price's seminal cookbook, A Treasury of Great Recipes. That's an explanation of the premise for anyone who's new to the show, never seen it before, and indeed anyone who is a long-time viewer but has perhaps forgotten the premise because it's been so long since they last saw an episode. The thing about YouTube is it used to be a place for hobbyists and folk to just come on and make some silly little videos for the amusement of friends and family, and then some people got really popular and started making a lot of money, and now it's at the point where if you're not making money within the first 50 or so videos, you're just supposed to give up like you're some kind of failure. There's very few artists still plugging away in the mire, putting out content that they know will reach very few people indeed, just because it's Saturday night and they have genuinely nothing better to do. So count yourself lucky I'm still around. Before we get to today's recipe, I note to say this episode is brought to you by Chew On This, an anthology of horror from Bloodbound Books. A true delight for horror gourmets, this collection brings together a range of voices for a full menu of food-based horror stories. I was actually invited by the publishers to submit a story to this. I can't imagine why they thought I would be appropriate. I'll put a link where you can buy it down below. Today's recipe is stuffed eggplant. Or, if you prefer, stuffed aubergine. There you are, call it what you will, eggplant, aubergine, it's the same thing. Here in the UK, as stuffy Brits call it an aubergine, the original French word derived from the Catalan aubergine, and the Arabic al-barinjan before that, and the Persian barinjan before that. However, in America, since the early 1800s, they've called it an eggplant. This is because of its striking visual similarity, they say, to an egg. Everything all right in America? That's just a little joke. I know things aren't all right. We require eggplant, breadcrumbs, butter, Parmesan cheese, scallions, parsley, lump crab meat or shrimp, salt and pepper. Now, I've got nothing against crab or crab meat. It's just the term lump crab meat I found a little bit off-putting, so I've gone with shrimp or prawns for UK viewers. There's a lot of confusion comes about from this American UK terminology, but we'll get there. So step one, you want to take your eggplant and look, see what I've done there? It's just because they're so strikingly similar, you see. And boil for 20 minutes. Then drain. And it says here, when cool enough to handle, cut lengthwise and carefully remove pulp, leaving a shell 1/4 inch thick. It is currently not cool enough to handle, but I'm going to do it anyway for your benefit. Ow, 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 ow. And carefully remove the pulp to leave a 1/4 inch shell. Hot, 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 hot. Grim. Chop the pulp and reserve. Then arrange the shells in a baking dish, I presume like this, and preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or around 200 degrees Celsius. In the meantime, take a frying pan And in 1 tablespoon of butter, brown half a cup of breadcrumbs. I mean, that's brown, right? What else would you call it? And mix with 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. Now in the pan, melt 4 tablespoons of butter. If in doubt, just add more. That's the secret to great cooking. Just butter. Butter, butter, butter. Add 2 large chopped scallions or 4 chopped small green onions, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, and saute for 2 minutes. I don't really know what a tablespoon measurement is. I don't know what a lot of measurements are supposed to be. I think at this stage, whatever feels right is what we need to just go with. Add half a pound of diced raw shrimp, it says, and cook for 3 minutes longer. Get out. This recipe comes from Galatoire's in New Orleans, of which Vincent Price says, located on Bourbon Street, where sleazy nightclubs and dilapidated buildings hem it in, Galatoure's is a narrow strip of respectability in a tough neighborhood. Still, the line of patrons waiting for tables sometimes stretches right up Bourbon Street, which shows you the lengths to which gourmets will go. In bloody deep, New Orleans, birthplace of jazz. I could be there right now if life weren't so cruel. In New Orleans, in the land of dreams. Right? Add the eggplant pulp, ruined, and sprinkle with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Mix, cover, and cook on a low heat for another 5 minutes. 5 minutes up, it's finally time to pile your filling into the shells. Sprinkle with the breadcrumb cheese mixture and dot each portion with 1 teaspoon of butter. That's what a teaspoon of butter looks like to me. That's it, ready to be baked in the oven for 20 minutes. Time to crack open the booze, I think. White wine, product of Portugal, 13%, that'll do. I mean, let's remember, we are celebrating after all. And after 20 minutes, there it is, stuffed eggplant. The recipe does say to serve piping hot, so here goes. Not bad. Not bad at all. I would eat this. In fact, I will eat this. Today's dish will be served with a dry white wine. Honestly, whatever you find in the back of the fridge is fine. And the Vincent Price horror film Diary of a Madman, in which a demonic entity inhabits the body of a lawful magistrate, much the same way that a prawn, scallion and parsley stuffing might inhabit the shell of an eggplant. It's not arbitrary at all. I genuinely put a lot of thought into this.
I'm sorry, I had hoped you'd be able to give me some. You know why I never asked for a new trial. I want to die. Because so long as I live, the thing can make me kill again. But you know, what is it, your eyes? It can even make me kill you!
That's all for this episode. Do please like, comment, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, get them to laugh at me and ridicule me for my inability to tell the difference between US and UK measurements. And of course, please do join me again next time for another recipe for nightmares.